Number 2. The medical pharmaceutical company developed a new antibiotic for children. 2% of children taking competing antibiotics experience headaches as a side effect. A researcher for the FDA wishes to know if the percentage of children taking the new antibiotic who experience headaches as a side effect is more than 2%. The researcher conducts a hypothesis test with the null hypothesis, where the population proportion is equal to 2% or 0.02, and the alternative hypothesis of the population proportion being greater than 0.02. And we want to know what it means to make a type 1 error. So for a type 1 error, if I don't change the font size during the middle of this, this is where we would reject the null hypothesis in favor of the percent of children taking the new antibiotic who experience headaches as a side effect is more than 2%. Then, because of the fact that it's a type 1 error, we do need to include then that the data indicates that the data indicates from the population proportion that the null hypothesis is correct, where the percentage is 2%. For the type 2 error, this is where we do not reject the null hypothesis when the alternative is actually true. So we would fail to reject that the proportion of children with headaches as a side effect is 2%. When the data indicates that the population it indicates from the population proportion that the alternative hypothesis is correct, and the percentage is greater than 2%. Okay. And then for this third part here, let's say that the null hypothesis is indeed rejected. And then based upon that, we want to know what can you conclude then about the conclusion of this particular study. So then if the null hypothesis is indeed rejected, then we were not given a specific percentage for this, but whatever the level of significance is. So at the level of significance, the proportion of children with headaches as a side effect is greater than 2%. for the null hypothesis is not rejected, what can we conclude from that? For this one, at the level of significance, again, we do not know that value since we weren't given it for this. It's typically 5%, but I won't include the specific value. When writing these, you would normally put at the 5% level of significance, for example, but I didn't include that on here. So at the level of significance, the proportion the proportion of children with headaches as a side effect is 2%, which again is based upon these different hypotheses.